Why does Ski Mask the Slump God's alien sex music video directed by Cole Bennett look so good when it was shot on an iPhone Pro 13 Max? Well, I'm gonna get into a few of those reasons, but if you're like me, every year when the new iPhone rolls out, you kinda just roll your eyes because the only thing they seem to update is the camera, and they act like it's this huge improvement and it doesn't seem to get any better. Well, when you implement these things that Cole Bennett implemented for this music video, you take the iPhone from down here all the way pretty much up to a cinema camera. I've watched this video about 10 times and I watched a behind the scenes video of it, and these are the things that I listed that clearly stand out as to why the iPhone looks so good. The first and probably the most obvious to all of you is the edit style. Cole Bennett always goes off on his edits for his music videos, and oftentimes they are effects or looks that you haven't really seen before or don't often see. So they tend to pack a bigger punch. So that leads into the next couple things, which is that he's a great director and he has a vision. So when you pair that with the editing and knowing that you're going to be shooting with an iPhone, I would say one of the biggest problems with iPhone is that their depth of field just isn't up to par. Yes, the new iPhones have that cinematic mode, but they are using artificial bokeh and depth of field, and so at first glance it looks great. But when you stare at it a little bit longer, you can see that it's not actually true to real depth of field from a cinema camera or even a DSLR. So if you know that going into it, then you would almost always try and set up the scenes to where there's not a ton of depth of field to reveal the flaws in the camera. The most depth of field we get in this music video is when they're walking through Chicago, but even that surprisingly looks pretty good. But you know, they keep it to a minimum. So if you're going to avoid the depth of field, that means you're going to have to be shooting in a stylized set, which means you're going to need a budget. So if you're not shooting for an artist that has signed to a label or has saved up a lot for the budget for the music video, odds are the only way you're going to be able to afford a set that looks this good that's at an actual studio is by taking money out of your own pocket to fund it. Now, that's not to say you can't get creative in your own house and just buy a couple different props, backgrounds, and stuff like that and still keep it to a minimum budget, but they're at a studio that can provide a ton of stylized looks without any hassle on their part. And the last two things is the iPhone can look really great if you have great lighting and if you know how to color grade your footage. And if you're not working with the ProRes iPhone footage, then you got to know how to subtly tweak these colors to make it look cinematic. Here's an example of a video that I shot on my iPhone on my last trip to Mexico. It starts out looking like nothing special, but I knew I was going to shoot it on my iPhone, so I knew exactly the framing of it, I knew how I was going to color it, I knew that I could still 3D track and add in 3D creatures, and it'd make the fact that I shot on an iPhone irrelevant. To sum it all up, iPhones probably won't look good unless you really know what you're doing and you're following steps like this to make sure that you are delivering the best product out of a camera that is in your phone. And I hope that if you've been using that excuse that you only have an iPhone and that's why you don't shoot, that you stop using that excuse and you just go out and shoot and you implement the things that were discussed in this video. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.